When the world knocks you down and you're flat on your back, how do you find the strength and willpower to get off that canvas and somehow snatch victory from the jaws of defeat? How can you become a comeback kid? Hi, I'm Tom Wakechild, the author of A Course in Miracles for Dummies, life optimization coach, and a mentor for A Course in Miracles. In this third training video of this series on overcoming adversity, we will look at 7 steps that will help motivate you to overcome obstacles so that you can get your life moving forward again. Then we will cover the 7 R's that allow you to overcome those obstacles. When you hit a solid wall, you need to have a plan that's designed to get you back into the game fast and on the winning side. This 7R formula, how to turn failure into success, is such a plan. It teaches you how to navigate troubled waters and transform apparent failure into surprising successes. So let's begin that journey.
Sooner or later, we all encounter roadblocks, setbacks, and adversity. It happens to everyone. The key question is, will you allow it to defeat you, or will you use it to motivate you, to demand a second chance, to make a comeback, and to redeem yourself? Yes, we all get knocked down, but successful people know how to pick themselves back up. How do we do it? Well, here's a 7-point plan for success. Here's comeback rule number 1. Refuse to quit. The successful person does not take an apparent failure as the ultimate final outcome. They review it as a temporary setback. They realize the unfavorable results, but do not assume that their lack of obtaining a particular result today means that they themselves are less worthy, and that in this case they're incapable of obtaining a better result tomorrow. When other people are quick to label them as a failure, they do not let others define who they are. They know that their worth comes from within, and what was their best today can be better tomorrow. I guess a good example of this is be retaking this presentation because I screwed up. So there's nothing wrong with the plan. There was some operator error, but that's not going to stop me. I believe that even though I couldn't do or execute the technical or the button pushing correctly last time, that doesn't mean I can't do it in the future. And so I'm redoing it, replaying it. I'm going to get it right. And that's what successful people do. They refuse to quit. The second rule is decide to fight. They refuse to be a victim of circumstance. They don't wallow in the defeat, but instead they pick themselves up and get back in the fray. Comeback kids have an inner sense of justice that refuses to be violated. They see themselves as both capable and worthy. They are not willing to accept things just the way they are. They believe that they can be an instrument for change. They manage their emotions, remind themselves of where they've been and why they're here, and resolve that nothing will stop them from creating a different ending. They reframe the story so that they can manage their fears, learn from their mistakes, and take corrective action. When they don't succeed at first, they regroup, reformulate, redirect, refocus, and rededicate to the task at hand. And hopefully that's what I'm doing this time, and we're going to do it until we get it right. Comeback rule number 3, get mad. Well, I don't really get mad, but I do realize that I need to look at what happened. They refuse to believe that they're a victim of circumstance. I didn't blame that error on the technology. I knew it was probably operator error. So they use the so-called failure as a motivation to try again. They refocus on the many whys that made their original goal so important to achieve. By becoming clear on why they wanted to achieve their goal, new ways to accomplish it became apparent. Pain, failure, loss, and embarrassment are great motivators and force them to make new choices and take new actions. They reframe the story by using the pain as fuel that drives them forward. When you refuse to reframe your story, the pain, shame, blame, and guilt associated with that story will become the fuel that binds you to your current situation, and it will burn you and consume you as you remain stuck. Comeback rule number 4, get creative. Don't get boxed in by your own plan. Be willing to revise, scrap, and update the plan based on new information. A savvy boxer won't make the same mistakes twice. He accepts the hard blows that first knocked him onto the canvas, but then he analyzes how he wound up on his back, and then he charts a new course around the problem. Turn trouble into your advantage by choosing to see every situation as an opportunity to learn and thus obtain a second chance rather than treat it as an unforgivable permanent setback. Part of being creative is knowing that for every problem, there's always a solution. The successful person always finds a way through and around a problem so that they can maintain responsibility consciousness over their life. Comeback rule number 5, focus on results. Keep your eyes on the goal or prize. Once you're on your way, don't look back and do not let minor successes or minor failures slow you down. Multiple distractions, doubts, and setbacks will haunt someone's recovery from a major setback. When you lose focus, you lose. True champions roll with the punches and keep coming back for more. True champions finish the job before they take time to celebrate. Comeback rule number 6, take a risk. Who step outside the norm and who allow themselves to be vulnerable. When you play it safe or small, you risk little and thus progress is slow, if at all. Playing it safe keeps you bound to the chains of mediocrity. By playing it safe to prevent yourself from actually taking a chance, you really prevent yourself from gaining the quantum leaps that you desire and that you deserve. Small thinking is something that we have to guard against. Stop thinking of risk as just a one-shot, all-or-nothing situation. Instead, start thinking of risk as a journey of exploration. It gives you a chance to explore a different path and thus gain and learn a great deal. The greatest breakthroughs come from exploring new areas that stretch your imagination. The greatest breakthroughs actually come from areas that you don't know that you don't know. Focus on the joy of the quest as opposed to the fear of obtaining a specific result. Columbus failed to discover a new trade route to India. Instead, he discovered a new world. Does that make Columbus a failure or a great explorer? I think if you ask Christopher Columbus, he would have opted for the second. Comeback rule number 7, enjoy the ride. Life is a process, not a final destination. The ultimate reward for a person facing adversity and making a comeback is to see his or her vision come to life in the real world. They enjoy the deep confidence of one who knew it was a challenge, and yet they persevered. They chose to stick around and build the foundations under the castles that they had originally envisioned in the sky. We said that the Chinese word for crisis was composed of those two characteristics, one representing danger and the other opportunity. In times of danger, great opportunity abound, but it's the mindset that will determine how you view that experience. Whenever you see a problem and treat it as, instead of a problem, but as a road sign that tells you that you're making progress towards your goal and that you now need to consider if any mid-course corrections are warranted, then you continue to move forward rather than let that block you and stop you from achieving your goals.